What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your pre-market watch list today. As always, there's quite a bit to cover, so we're going to jump right into it. A little short-handed here today, so I'm making our watch list a little bit earlier than I typically would. So there might be some things that end up coming along after I post this video to YouTube that I may not actually see during this time period, because right now it's only 8 in the morning. And we still have, quite a bit till market open. So some things could change. But for now, what we're going to cover is GameStop for sure. Maybe we'll touch on AMC. We'll look at NEO. We'll look at the overall market. And I think we'll even look at CCIV a little bit. But first, what we should do is start here with the market. And we'll specifically look at the NASDAQ here. So for those of you that obviously follow the channel pretty much every day on these videos, you guys should be pretty caught up to speed. But for those that maybe don't follow as closely, let's try to get you up to speed. For the past week or so, we've been picking this price point as the bottom. Yesterday we mentioned the market would probably have a pullback and then it would go up, and so yesterday we got our pullback and the market's now going up. So what we're looking at on this left screen, this is a 4-hour time frame, and you'll see that just yesterday we topped at the 50 moving average and this half deviation mark, and you can see pre-market right now where the price of the NASDAQ is on the right screen. So I'll just do this. This is the right screen. This is a 1-minute chart. This is all pre-market right now on the NASDAQ. You'll see that if I put a horizontal price level like right here at the top of pre-market highs, it's going to pretty much be identical to this dotted line here on the left. So let's do that. Okay, you can see it's pretty close there. So this pre-market high, the reason we're stopping there and the reason that the NASDAQ is putting in this pre-market high around 317 here is because this half deviation price, okay? And arguably because of the high a day yesterday. So the high a day yesterday stopped because of 50 moving average and this deviation level. Today, we're going back up to those same price points, but a little bit higher than this because it's here now. So have you ever wondered why sometimes you'll spot a resistance point and then the price goes over by a little bit, or sometimes the price will stop before the resistance by a little bit? It's usually because that price is actually targeting a statistical trend and it's not actually targeting the previous price, okay? So a lot of times people look for resistance or support based off of a previous top or a previous bottom, and they'll use that previous price action to identify their next new resistance or support, which is correct. It's the right way to do things. But a lot of times there's a little bit more of an accurate approach, and that's going to be using some deviations. And so you can see here, the price is respecting yesterday's high, but you can see it went above by a little bit. So the reason it's actually going above by a little bit is because it's actually going to the deviation. So a lot of times, whenever a price goes above your identified resistance by a little bit and then it ends up coming down, or it goes below your support by a little bit and then it ends up going up, it's normally because price is not going back to previous price action, it's going back to trend, which is normally pretty close to previous price. But anyways, so for this morning, the NASDAQ has effectively made it back to its target resistance to a degree. Let me check the daily chart here. All right, so the daily chart is all the same. Okay, so the daily chart resistance is equally the same as the 4-hour resistance, okay? So what I mean is, on the left screen, this is the daily chart. You see that dotted line there. So we're going to do a horizontal price point. And if we go to the 4-hour chart and we do the same thing, you'll see that the price points are pretty much the same. So that's our resistance right now for the day. So if the market's going to continue higher, it has to go to that point. Part of me feels that we're actually not going to go higher and we're going to have some sort of consolidation below this point for quite a while. And if at any point the market does come up and break it, then awesome, so be it. But I mean, we've already had a gigantic run today from 310 all the way to 317. So market's already up 700 points. Oh, well, that was, never mind. The market's up, maybe 500 or something like that, 300, 400. So anyways, we've kind of made it back to resistance here on the NASDAQ. But I still think overall the market's going to go long. We might hesitate here for like a day or so and then it goes up more. So this is what we were talking about yesterday with NEO. We're still bullish the stock NEO, but we anticipated that yesterday the market was going to pull back off that resistance we just showed you. And you can see NEO pulled back and now we're kind of going up. So right now our target for NEO is still about 47 bucks. It's this little level here around 47, 43. That's still our target. But we mentioned yesterday if NEO was going to reach prices of 37, it would have to pull back first before getting to 37. And what would most likely create the pullback on NEO was the pullback on the market. So the market pulled back. Market's now up today, hence NEO's up a little bit. If the market runs today, NEO will run. If the market hesitates, we'll probably see a hesitation day on NEO. And then if the market runs tomorrow, then NEO would probably reach the prices of 47 or so. All right. Now we're going to touch on GameStop. All right. So yesterday, you guys that watched this pre-market video, you'll remember I was touching on the theory and the concept of standard deviation, blah, blah, blah. And I was telling you that there's a 99.7% chance that the price is going to come back down below the blue. And sure, and I wasn't saying that it would happen yesterday, but sure, just in general, that's what the market likes to do in these situations. And you can see, by the end of the day, the market ended up going just below the blue, and then it bounced. And if we look at it today, I think we're below. So if you look at where we're at today, the price is here at 253. And, okay, maybe we're actually up above it today. I thought we were going to be below. So that's 210. Okay. So on the daily chart, we're not below the blue, but on the 4-hour chart, we are. So anyways, if you're following yesterday's video, I was basically just running you guys through how this works and letting you know that GameStop had entered into sort of a selling zone again. Either way, the momentum's pretty hot here. I'm not going to be super bullish on today with GameStop, giving it sell-off from yesterday. But let's say that it did want to go long again today. I could see a target long being back to 279 and then having resistance right around 279. So not really doing anything with GameStop myself, especially after yesterday's big sell-off. But anyways, so GameStop, again, if you look at the 4-hour chart, it does suggest it's high in cycle. So give it a second. We might be seeing sellers try to come in today and tomorrow on GameStop overall. All right, next one I want to touch on is CCIV. So CCIV's been holding this bottom, obviously because the market's been holding a bottom. Excuse me, market's been holding a bottom. I think today on CCIV could be set up for a long, just with the way it's formed up. If we look at a 5-day, like 15-minute chart, you'll see we were consolidating. Yesterday, it finally broke over kind of these top consolidation points. Went back below, but today it gapped up above those previous tops. So if we were to put like a price point over kind of the average of these tops, it would come out to like maybe here, right? Somewhere in there. And even if we went to the absolute highs of them, right? So let's put those lines so you can see resistance, down, up, through resistance, pull back to, back over, okay? So this is almost like the market saying, hey, we broke out, we pulled back to, we sustained over these price points, gap up. Now I think the market on CCIV is going to try to actually run up a bit. If we're correct, and it does do that, which again, still a little market dependent. So I'm not sure if CCIV can hold its own strength outside of market dependency, meaning I think the market still has to have a solid day for CCIV to have a really solid day. But if in the event CCIV has a mind of its own outside of the market today, and it's going to trade on its own path, I think today could be the day where we see another long move on CCIV. And if we're correct, we might be able to see the prices get up to about 28. 28 was our price target overall the other day, and we hit 27.25 yesterday. So it's like we kind of got to resistance, but we were a little shy. When that happens, a lot of times it will still go back up, to the prices of 28 in this sort of situation. Potentially back up to like 30. So for right now, we are kind of targeting 28 to 30 bucks on CCIV still. And that would most likely occur if the market continues to have a good day. All right. A couple other stocks that have been jumping around today in the penny stock world were SPPI, which I traded once already, SIEB, all right, NVFY and AVEO. AVEO has some news regarding cancer and FDA approval, so this is probably going to be one we watch pretty closely. It's got a lot of range. NVFY, it doesn't really have a bunch of news that I can see, or maybe I'm wrong about that. I can't remember. It's been so long since I last looked. But really, NVFY, AVEO, are going to be some candidates today that we watch. So let's give you an analysis here on NVFY. So NVFY, current support is 523. It just is, right? It doesn't mean that it has to come down to 523 and then bounce, but 523 is the support. And you'll actually see we did do that, right? Look at the lower wick of this candle. Where is it at? Right, so look at this current 4-hour candle. Look at the low of it. Where is it at? It's on that line. So this tells me that price broke up, pulled back to, then bounced. Right, so let's go review that. Okay, so we just told you this 527 is a long-term support level, and you will see that price went up, broke up to 9, pulled all the way back to, and then bounced. Right, so we went overbought. And you can actually see where that red line's at? You see what happened when the price broke through it? See, that was the resistance, right? If we go back to this chart, okay, that's a breakout point over that 524, that blue line. So if we go back to the 1 minute, you'll see price went to resistance, 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 finally breaks up, big run, pulls back to, then bounces, okay? Let's just check the daily chart because, so the daily chart has support around 484, 482 or whatever. So basically the way that you would read this is that NVFY is in fact overbought, and if you're to start buying into these highs and holding for a long time, there's a good chance you could see prices revert back to $5. So for right now, we're kind of slightly bearish on NVFY because of that. All right. Next one, AVEO. AVEO is probably going to be very similar in regards to it being overbought. So right now, support on AVEO is $14. So if in the event somehow this market crashes back down and over, we could look for a bounce around $14 to $13. So pretty much in this 14 to 13 could very well be a bounce zone if in the event this stock just rolls over and gets smacked down to here, which I don't quite think is actually going to happen. But if it did, you would see that we'd probably bounce here. And if you look left, you'll notice something, right? So yesterday when this started running up, where did it first see resistance, right? So this starts at 780, gets some news, runs up. It actually breaks the 9-day moving average here on the yearly chart, gaps up after a halt, and then where does it stop? Right here at 14 and 13 bucks. You see it has its first resistance. So the way that we would read this is yesterday when this was running up, so here's 7, pushes up, then it does that little gap up on the chart, runs up, and then it hits resistance here and here, which were our daily chart and 4-hour levels. So that was the resistance, and then if you look, all right, so we hit resistance, comes up, breaks through, runs, right? So anyways, just a little couple learning examples for you guys. But overall, that's pretty much today's watch list. We'll keep long on NEO. We're still long biased the market. Not super long biased at the prices it's currently at. I'd be surprised if it keeps running today because it already had such a good move. But we're long biased the market still. Maybe a hesitation day. Still long biased NEO, long biased CCIV, which means we're probably still long biased Tesla. Watching NVFY, AVEO, and then possibly SPPI as well. So I hope that helps. Hope you guys learned something new, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Everybody, take care.